Hallelujah, hallelujah. Bayeti nkosi, matona tatanzambi mpungu tulendo, kembo na tatanzambi amazulu. Mpungu Tulendo, Bayete Nkosi, Kimfumu Chakuisa, Yenge Keno, family Yenge Keno, Luvuvamo. This is going to be a message. I think I touched on this in the past, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. It talks about the extermination process. The extermination process of the original Hebrews and how this plan has manifested once again in the days preceding or after Isaia came. And this is something that the world will not understand, but those who are woke will. First of all, I give praises to Tatanzami Pungu Tulendo. I pray that this message will be uploaded and not blocked. I know my Yaya saw that he was on live. I'll watch his video later. That's why I didn't go live, because I knew this is something that I didn't want people to get interrupted with. I'm going to go ahead and try Zoom again. If it doesn't upload and it causes problems, I'll re-upload it if it has issues. So I'll have to call him and see what's going on, because I took away, I know there was a space issue that I've been dealing with, and I'm working on that, but it should be fine this time, hopefully. I want to play a video. Well, first of all, I want to honor the Isaela Congo, the Mwana Velela, the 24 elders, all of the righteous of Isolele, everyone that's in this truth. I want to honor you. All those of our ancestors who are righteous, honor them as well. And I want to continue to grow in our knowledge and understanding of this truth. Hopefully that will realize more and more things. We're getting it's about 2 weeks away from the so-called one world religion. And so we're going to be really hitting hard now on some things, because they're going to be coming out with some doctrines that are going to really deceive a lot of people. All right, so we're going to Exodus. Now, this is Wantete Wamosi, I think, in the Kongo. So I can't remember Wantete. Yeah, posted something in the chat. I'm gonna let you listen to a video. It's going to go along with what this is talking about. Okay. This is Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. Now, the deception of Christianity and many Christians is because of who they believe the real Jews are. They think that this is something that was in the past. Okay. The mindset of many people today is they think the scriptures happened in the past and they don't repeat, which they do repeat. This is the deception. Many pastors know this, and that they know that this is what I'm about to share with you is a repeat of Exodus chapter 7, chapter 1, verse 7. Okay, well, let's start at verse 6. And Yosephu died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And remember, this is a generation that was in Kamatam, Egypt. At the time, we went in there because of what happened to Yosephu. And the children of Isolele, Isaela, were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, that the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king of Kamata, Egypt, who knew not Yosephu. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Isolele are more and mightier than we. Keep that in mind. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and come to pass that when there are fallen out any war, they join it also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Okay. So the Pharaoh is saying that there's a possibility that we could have allies that would help us to leave their land, which in fact, even in today's time, we actually do. people may not know this, but the Bena Congo, the Bantus actually have allies that have ways of trying to work ways to get us up out of the land. That they fear, this is what they're fearful of, is that this is why they want to be quick to call you a traitor of any kind for joining on with any organization that goes against the Egyptian system or the Babylonian system, because they know that there's the intent to do this, okay? Therefore, they did set up over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And the taskmasters include the gatekeepers, okay? Okay, this is what we're talking about. Now I'm going to tell you, the spirit of Seti and the spirit of Ramses is even here in America today, because of the connection of the ancient ways. They just don't want to tell you that because they know they talk to dead gods or false deities all the time in the witchcraft. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Isolele. Now, go back to when slavery started from the kingdom of Congo. The one thing the Europeans noticed, and this was an issue for them, is the more they afflicted us, the more we grew. Okay? And so they had to come up with other ways to deal with that, which I'm going to show the video on how they did it. Now, because of Christianity and what they like to call the do-gooders in their minds, they had to be careful. I see back in the days of in the back of the days of slavery, it was okay. They did a lot of things that people don't even want to talk about even today, how horrible the things they did. But one of the things included, what I want to talk about, was throwing the babies to the alligators, which was symbolic of throwing the Bantu people to the crocodiles, the Isaela people, Isolele, okay, back in the days of Kamata. So one of the things we know that was done, that this is in the book of Jasher, but they don't put it in the book of Egypt. They don't put it in the book of Genesis or Exodus, because then you'll catch on. They figure that you would know that if they threw us to bait alligators, if you're reading this book, they were afraid, oh, they might see the correlation to the fact that we're throwing people to crocodiles. Okay, and so that's one of the things that they did. But in the Prince of Egypt, they told you they threw us to this god, and this god is actually still worshipped in America today. Okay, so this is the false god of the Nile. They say he commands the crocodiles, which he technically could say he commands the alligators too. And so this is a deity that has been brought secretly into the Americas. And you see here in the movie portion where he's saying, I'm going to deal with you the same way my father did, where he said, if you watch the Prince of Egypt, he says, I'm going to kill you, your children. Okay. Now, of course, we know that there are those who say that this is our story, when really the Hittites came into captivity by the war. I've talked about this before. They're trying to disprove it. The point is, they are the Hittites, and they're mixed with Edom. If they want to keep denying it, that's their point, but the Most High knows who his people are. There are those who say that they think they're the real Jews. They're not. That's what Revelation 3:9 keeps saying. And that can include, like I said, the synagogue of Satan can include churches too. All right. So, little African, the dainty morsel. Alligator bait, also known as gator bait, is the practice of using little black children as bait to catch alligators, done during slave times in the Florida and Louisiana and other parts of American South. Okay. So now now remember, in the South, and it was primarily the Baptist religion of Christianity, and it was the clan's religion, really. People may not understand this, but it was the clan. The clan used it. Many of the southern Many of the Southern Baptist pastors were Southern Baptists, and they were actually doing this stuff. They were Christians doing this. Okay, you'll see it here. This was a picture. This is a 1911 postcard where they show the alligator coming as the bait for the child. Okay. So now the issue with the end of slavery was, and I'm going to say that I don't think it's completely stopped, because we know how rituals go and sacrifices, and we know that there's a lot of sacrifices that still go on. They probably don't do it in the open as much. I'm pretty sure they don't do it in the open, but they still do it symbolically in the secret, because I know a lot of our Black children are being killed. Okay. I'm saying Africa, I'm pretty sure that they still actually do this. They throw babies to crocodiles. Now, somebody can share that with me if they had examples of that. I'm pretty sure they could tell us. But the concept is still the same. Now, because the Most High created Kamata to be global, because he said, I shall scatter you to the four corners of the earth, because he declares that any place that we have been scattered to in the form of a affliction or slavery is to him Egypt, because it means bondage. Okay. Egypt is the land of bondage. Kamata, the land of Kemet. That's why you find Kemetic sciences that were being practiced in Asia, South America, United States, even before the United States. Native Americans were practicing Kemetic sciences. Kemetic sciences were being practiced among various groups of people around the world. Kemetic science was being practiced by the Arabs. Okay, so we know that the Most High knew that when he's scattering us, that it would go to Egypt. This is why you find Egyptian symbolism around the world, even before, because the biggest lie people understand is the Egyptians could actually travel the world. That's why they try to hide this, because they always want Americans to think that they were going to be the ones that build up a nation and they're the only ones, when it's a lie. It was all brainwashing. There were civilizations who were Black that built stuff that was more powerful than many whites. They didn't want you to know that, okay? So that was all the concept of brainwashing. So now again, this is Black on Black too, because it was Kemetists killing the Bantus. So this is where we get Black on Black crime started way back, okay? Because we do have people who are not Bantus who kill us even today. They're part of that. And they claim to be our lineage when they know that there's a difference, okay? So let you listen to this guy. He is going to, I'm going to play the video.
It's relatively new compared to GMOs. Relatively, I know a thing or two about food science. Now, what they have invented, when I say they, I'm talking about genetic engineers. Not only have they found a way to put these genetically engineered traits into food crops, they've now found a way to cause food crops to grow RNA fragments that can be specifically targeted, like bioweapons, to interfere with the physiological processes of targeted species that might eat the food. Now, this technology is called RNA interference technology. It's relatively new compared to GMOs, relatively new. It's being touted now as a technology to eliminate the use of pesticides, because what they're saying is they can cause a corn crop to grow RNA fragments that will kill the insects that eat the corn without having to use pesticides like toxic chemicals that overload the insect nervous system and kill it from a nervous system breakdown and so on.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how ignorant people can be. And this is the reality of life. Okay, this is basically their way of trying to fight the plagues that are coming, because they know that the Tanzambi is sending judgment where the crops would be destroyed. This is something that's been going on for quite a while now. People just didn't know it because they don't realize that they are in fact Egypt. So there are plagues that come upon them occasionally, but now there's going to be a massive one. But the reality is that, okay, I studied science, okay, I taught it as well when I was called to do so, because I was only a sub. I didn't get a chance to get my license because that's a whole nother story. But anyway, the one thing that I understood was if you can kill, if it's designed to kill organic matter, it will kill you. If it's designed to kill organic matter, it's designed to kill you too. And this is part of the dumbing down process that they started to do, okay, because the Most High was actually cursing many of the things that they were doing with the crops. And part of it goes back to what happened with the farmers back in the 1920s that they don't even know. Because of what they did to them, it was then done to us. Because it says, you bless them, I bless them, I curse you, I curse you. But because the world didn't know the truth, that's part of the reason why the farmers have struggled so much over the last years.
This RNA interference technology is a pesticide technology, but it doesn't rely on pesticide chemicals. It relies on RNA fragments in the food. Now, what's disturbing about this is that this technology can be fine-tuned to target a specific race of humans who eat the food. I want you to follow me very carefully on this because most people have never heard of this before. They've never heard of this technology. They don't know it can be targeted by race. Food crops can be engineered right now based on existing technology to cause infertility in Black people alone. That technology is a reality. It's widely covered out there in the mainstream media, in the science media. RNA interference technology, widely covered.
So this is one of the reasons why we have people who are leery of a lot of the things because of what happened with the Tuskegee experiments and everything. The biggest deception that has been taught to humanity is they don't understand the genomes. They don't understand RNA, DNA. Those are the building blocks. Okay. The biggest deception about that is they've known about RNA, DNA since ancient Egypt. One of the first person to experiment on Black people was actually Da Vinci. Because see, no one understands that when he would get his cadavers, that he would say, that so-called cadavers that he would use to study the human body, okay, there were Black people around at the time when he was doing it. And they were considered still lowly people in Rome and different places. And he would do this stuff even then. The one thing that the world will not tell you is that since 70 AD, when we ran, Isolele or Isaela has always been a threat to Rome. Always. We have been the threat to Rome since the war started with the Zealots. With the Zealots that were actually Black people. People don't understand this. And the Khazarian influence that was there was also involved. But what you don't understand is the Khazarian people instigated the war. Okay. But they don't want to tell that because the war raged between them and Rome for years until they were defeated. And they brought us into it. The Bantu people were in it, but many of us fled, okay? Some of us were taken as prisoners and many of us fled. Like Isaia said, go to the mountains when they see the abomination. See, that's why they misteach that. When they say, and that scripture has repeated itself, this is why Christianity doesn't understand that that scripture was referring to the when he said, when he see the abomination that stands in the holy place, he was originally talking about Zeus. Okay. because the god Jupiter was Zeus. Okay. So when they put Jupiter in the temple with Titus, this is what happened at the end. That was the abomination that stands in the holy place, which was in the temple of the Most High Tatanzambi. Okay. That was not okay, and the war ensued. What you fail to understand is this war never stopped. It's been fought, they've been fighting this war against the Bantu people since 70 AD. They just keep coming up with a different way to fight it, because when Rome was fallen because of what the Most High did to it, it then re-emerged in a modified form as the Holy Roman Empire. And all they did was take the people who were the pagans and change them into titles that were referring to what you would consider holy positions. So then they use that influence, and you can do the research because there's people that have talked about this all the time. Okay, but the people who have done this work in this awakening have broken this down. Okay, that, you know, excuse me, that when the intent was to control the Bena Congo was always an Egyptian-based mindset. So this is where you see the changes in the names of our people that started with the Vulgate. This is where you start to see the changes in doctrine that started to take place through the Church of Laodicea, Assembly of Laodicea. This is where you start to get foundations of a belief that's meant to conquer, not to save. Okay, but conquer whom? This is the issue. Conquer whom? Okay. So now when the Most High, we were always on the run as a people, even in Europe and Asia. This is why you'll find us scattered throughout the earth even before slavery. Okay, but the civilizations that we were running to had Babylonian type beliefs in them. Okay, Isaela was the one who, when he traveled the earth, began to modify their understanding, because Bantus were scattered even then. What happened was when Isaela left and the disciples were there, and he had the other 70 or plus disciples that he had made, the false Messiah began to undo many of the things that he did so that the world would not be able to restore the kingdom of Isolele for Ezekiel 37. Okay, so he masqueraded all this time, and he kept the war against the Bantus going for generations, and people would prophesy and things would happen to keep us moving forward. Okay, this is in scriptures that they don't show you. If you go to a lot of the Apocrypha texts, they have this type of thing. This is also when it talks about woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down for you for a short while. Okay, so the point is the devil had come down, and his role was to make people miserable, specifically the Bantu. Okay. So you talk about woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, woe unto the inhabitants of the sea. Okay, this is what it's talking about. So now, as things began to change to hide the identity of the real Hebrews, even ourselves, we wanted to hide because we saw what was going on. We didn't want to be exterminated. When the Most High gathers, as we now know, into the kingdom of Congo with the 12 fountains that our brothers have done a good job of explaining, the Muslims were in fact they call them, even, they know this, they are the watchdogs of the Catholic Church. They've never really been separated. This is a deception. What happened was when they gained more power, they started to go against Rome, and of course, but this is how it goes in the world of of those type of systems where when one rises, they all fight against each other, even though Satan's kingdom cannot be divided against itself. It's all of his kingdom is not at peace. Okay. So there's always warring going on amongst those kingdoms that he is in charge of. So then this is why we talk about when he says you are of your father the devil, for he was a murderer from the beginning. So when your whole system is based off of the possibility that you would kill people, then your system is Luciferian. Okay, that's the whole concept. Because the devil, he masquerades in so many ways, it's not even funny. So now, when we get to what's going on, what I'm talking about here in Exodus, and what this person is talking about, they always knew that the power rested in the house of Isolele. And this was demonstrated in the kingdom of Congo because we were always the peculiar people unto himself. And of course, we could do things that other people could not. That's what made us so peculiar. And so when they realized that we had formulated the kingdom of Congo, because remember, they had spies too. Okay, they had spies too. Okay, they saw that the kingdom was rising. And so then the fallen angels plotted to cause the issues that they did. You saw with the argument that happened in the kingdom of Congo, okay, where we began to have issues with certain things, we began to mix certain things. People were getting upset with jealousy, or once again about who has the secrets, who do not. We talked about people who, the envy and pride was once again showing up in itself, to the point where we were beginning to do exactly what we were going to do, worshiping the gods of wood and stone that we were not supposed to. So then, contrary to what people want to keep saying, Tatanzambi himself, our Congo, allowed the other nations to conquer the kingdom. Because we denied, of course, Hosea chapter 2, because we were giving the blessings he gave us to our lovers, as it says. Okay. So with that come the destruction of all the knowledge and wisdom of the kingdom of Congo and the launching into the captivity. Well, once again, now that we're back into Kamata, because the Christians didn't know that they were in Kamata, and many of the Muslims and whatnot, and the believers, okay, this was going to be a masquerade or a mystery Babylon, okay? So that what would happen is we would be manipulated into thinking that we were the heathens and they were not, okay? That they were the righteous saviors of our people, okay? And it was not the case, okay? And I'll get into why we know this now, because of how they misinterpreted scriptures to benefit the worship of a white God, a white Jesus, a white everything, when it's scientifically proven in itself, you cannot get white from black. I mean, black from white, only white from black skin. Okay. But of course, when you control the knowledge and you know the heathens and all that, let me get off of this real quick. So now I'm gonna let you finish listening to this, but he's gonna show you that this is why they're coming for us.
The government is at war with you. If you're black and you're watching this, the government is at war with you, and they want you exterminated, and they control the science funding, which means there will never be money for any genetic science of the food supply to uncover this truth if it were there.
Okay, so this is Rex 84. If you ever go back and look at Rex 84, King Alfred, Rex 84 was targeting darker skinned people. They included, the reason why they included the Hispanic community in Rex 84 is because this is called an E1B1. For those that don't know, there's a genetic code that they know brings you right back to Abana and Saka and Yakubi, Jacob. They masquerade with all the other people. And there are many who believe that they want to believe, which is fine. Okay, but there's a genome that is specifically targeted to what the Most High did when he altered Abraham's genes. If you are cut off, like it was in the case of Ishmael and Esau and others and all that, this gene does not show up in you. Okay. This gene does not show up. This is how you know that this particular gene comes from Zulu. It comes from the Most High. When you have the Holy Spirit, though, this gene is actually seen specifically with the Bantus, and it's clear who gets it. Okay. So now what they're saying is, now that they understand the genetic coding of us, which they've known for quite some time now, thanks to the experiments, they've been able to develop things that cause our destruction. Okay. So this is the new version of killing us with the crocodiles. All right. The other way that they did is war. Okay. War, we know what happened in 1917. We talk about, they won't tell the real story that the war stopped because of the arrival of Simon Toko. War was a way for them to become resource dominant against one another and to exterminate the E1B1. Because if we're growing numerous around the world, okay, you can't just keep throwing people at crocodiles. You got to come up with other ways. And this is one of the things that they did. Okay. So now war, and especially if they get us in it through deception, was used to have Bantus killing Bantus, especially in the continent of Africa. Okay. By doing this, excuse me, it allowed for our people to sin against ourselves unknowingly. The saddest part about what I'm explaining is the gatekeepers are also a part of this. They know what they're doing. Okay. You say, why don't they speak up? Well, it goes back to what it showed you in a movie called the Kingsman Secret Service. There's a chip they showed you in that movie that goes into people. And there's actually a video I just saw today on Facebook that talks about this chip that people swallow. And what it does is that it's basically a chip that keeps you in line. Okay, now that stuff is even coming out because we know Hollywood. But of course, people will always say they already know. They can tell you whatever they want to tell you now because you're going to say conspiracy theory. You're going to say conspiracy theory. You're going to say, no, it's not true, culture, because you're already dumbed down. They already got you where they want you. You just don't know it. They already got you where they want you, so they can say whatever and you won't believe it. Trust me. I mean, you tell this to people who walk around, the minute they'll say, oh, that's what you want to believe, even out of their own mouths, they keep saying it. And people don't want to believe it. Well, that's because they've already got you where they want you. Okay, so they can tell you anything now. There's a video I watched about how the dude was talking about the truth about the fact that the UFOs are demonic. Of course, he's a Christian pastor, white pastor, and he's saying that Christians cannot be abducted. Okay, that's garbage. And he's saying that they cannot be possessed. That's another thing that's garbage. Okay. The non-E1B1 people are already possessed and genetically altered and abducted because it follows through their genealogy from the modifications that were already done thousands of years ago. Okay. This is what they won't talk about. The reason why the so-called UFO activity has intensified since 1947 is because of the things that Simon Toko was doing in Africa. Because they started to see, and also because of the destruction that was intensifying. We have to remember, the fallen angels don't want to see Congo. They know they're trying to destroy him, but they don't want to see him. Okay, so if you start building things to bring Congo to the realization, I'm going to do stuff, remember, they don't want to go in the fire. They're going in the fire and don't think that they actually enjoy what's going to happen, but they because it's all set up. They are a slave to Lucifer, who is a slave to the Most High. That's just how it is. Okay. So the best way to hide the truth from people who don't know is to create the media or food in Kikongo, Madia. Now you know what they were really talking about in the movie, the show with Tyler Perry, because he was food. Okay. That's what they mean when they call us Madia, or that we're food. Okay, there was a guy who did another video, he talked about the picnics, the truth behind the picnics. Okay, and what those really were, and the consumption that you did actually have people cannibalizing Black people. Because it was under the understanding that consuming your enemy, you absorb their power. This is something that has never ended, and it's still happening today. Okay, this is kind of deep, but you know, this is the reality of rituals for witchcraft. Is the witchcraft is done through the consumption of the enemy, of his soul, of his body, of anything that they can use to put curses on. Okay, this is what they used to do with the voodoo that was used even through the secret societies that were doing it, that they were taught by us how to control us, because they knew that they had those of us that had turned to the other side. Okay. And so now they have been given the tools because they have the threats, but you cannot tell the world, okay, that the Bantus are the problem. Now it's starting to become evident that they know and they see that the truth is out there. More and more people are starting to realize it. But this is why you still use the media. No, it's false flag. No, it's this. No, distractions. This is one of the reasons, the real reason why they wanted the sports world to come back online when the shutdown came, was because too many Bakongos were waking up. That's why they were in such a hurry not to bring it back, because it had nothing to do with non-Bantus. They don't care how much Christians watch the NFL and the basketball and whatever. They want the Bena Congo to do it. See, I'm on the shaded thing. You can walk by. Okay. So now it all comes down to the next video. I'm going to show you why we have suffered and what was really going on in the last 450 years. And I'll try not to get to, she starts going on a rant, she starts cursing. So I'll try not to get that far into it, but pay attention to what she's saying, because there's some truth to it. So 1 second. So now you understand they all have food. That's why we keep saying why they really poison the water, why they really poison the food, everything. To the people, to the Illuminati people, it's called sheep or goyim. They don't care about the sheep. Okay, and they have to trick their own. You have to understand they're tricking people. They're even using people to misteach false truths, because the Bantus were in fact scattered around the world. They are mixed in with other races. The problem is those races think that they're the people. So they say, oh no, we want nothing to do with Africa. It was all about America and all these other things. But what they don't understand is their culture was taught to them by the Bakongos. And then the fallen angels are the ones who keep teaching people, no, you are Jacob. No, you are Jacob. No, you are Jacob. No, you are Jacob. Because they know that if the real Jacob stands up, that's why they get the that mockery. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Will the real so-and-so please stand up? Now that the real Bena Congo are standing up, this is a problem. Because Mikaele is standing up. When we say Michael, the great prince, stands up, how does he stand up? Through his people. Wake up. He's saying, wake up, Yakubi. It's time. So let me close this out. Now I'm going to let you listen to this lady here. Oh, I may show this video. I might not, because it might get me pulled, but this is the one that they're saying they're hiding the truth about our reality. If you want to check that out, it's also on there. All right, so let's listen to this lady. Pause it real quick.
If I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money. I didn't allow you to have anything on the board. I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa. That was Rosewood. Those are places where we built Black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? Every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood. How can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community?
Okay. So what she's saying is very true. Okay. That the game is fixed. And of course, there's a bigger agenda to this. Remember I said in Exodus, they set up the taskmasters. The taskmasters, okay, were set up. Okay? Because it says, and the Egyptians made the children of Isolele to serve with rigor. This is one of the reasons why we work our tails off. Because the spirit of Ramses and the spirit of Seti is back. The same thing with Nebuchadnezzar. His spirit is back. All these things are happening in the world. They don't tell you this. Now they're not hiding it, but people don't see. They're telling you stuff in plain sight nowadays that they're doing to you, and they still don't believe it. So what she just said is exactly when Tatanzambi used Michael Jackson, that people don't even know that he did, to make a song where he's telling you, he's talking about for us, the game is rigged, he goes. And this is the lyrics to Scream from Michael Jackson. I'm not gonna play the song because I'm not doing copyrights. He says, I'm tired of injustice. I'm tired of the schemes. Lies are disgusted. So what does it mean? Kicking me down? I got to get up. As jacked as this sound, the whole system sucks. And he says, damn it, okay? What is he saying? Exactly what the lady just told you. The people up higher, especially the Bena Kongo, those of us who have learned who we are, but we can't say nothing, they know this system, they have tried to secretly tell you, hey, wake up. They even did it in a kayak commercial. They weren't talking about no kayak. Kayak is actually a Bantu word. I try to find it. She says, they're lying to you. He goes, who's they? They put it, open your eyes. And they're not talking about a commercial to sell travel. And she walks off. I knew it. She said, open your eyes. I saw it plain as day what she was really talking about. Then he says, peek in the shadow, come into the light. This is Janet's part. You tell me I'm wrong, then you better prove you're right. You're selling out souls, but I care about mine. I've got to get stronger, and I won't give up the fight. So the saddest part about what has happened to her since she made this song is they put her down even deeper. This is what they do to you. You rise up, okay? They're gonna make an example of you. What they did to her and that dude that they sold her to and that whole thing with the, oh my gosh, I'm sure it was horrible for her. But the reality is, this is what we do. The worst enemy of the Muntu is the Muntu. Has always been like this. Since the Most High brought us out of the land of Kamata, Tatanzambi, and Pungu Talendo, we were the worst. Who were the ones that said we were better off where we came from? We have said this several times. The black man, specifically the Bena Kongo, those who were chosen with the genealogy to be above others. Yes, the Most High scattered the Hamites. He said he would. Especially Kamata, Kush, all these different places, they were scattered too. But the Benanzambes are the threats. Those who know, if you know you come from the lineage of Yakub, Abana and Saka and Yakubi, you are a problem. This is why they now want to talk about, you know, they don't even say the names in the Bible, the way the Bible was written, that they are explaining it to you is totally off. So then when you got people talking about it, they don't even know. They changed that too. They changed that too. Because the Muntu, the Bena Kongo, we are in charge of the scrolls that were written down. Even they had disciples who had the scrolls of the real truth. There is a book of Matthew in the first person. There is a book of Marco in the first person. There's a book of Barnabas in the first person. There's a book of Paula has another book in the first person that nobody's even seen it. Go read the Apocalypse of Paula. That will blow your mind. That once saved, always saved is baloney in that book. When the Maleki takes him to the heights, Paula went to the other side. He also went to see Tartarus. The Maleki took him. Tatanzambis, the Malekis will show you when you are in the spirit, the things you need to know to warn people about what they do. He knew the version, that version alters many of the things you see in the Bible. Because he was well aware the Muntu was the problem. The the fig tree is in there. Okay. Then it goes into the song, says, with such confusion, don't it make you want to scream? Oh yeah. You're bash, abusing, victimizing within the scheme. So they're victimizing you. You try to cope with every lie they scrutinize. Somebody please have me because I just can't take it. And it says, stop pressuring me. Now I'm going to go to the part where you keep changing the rules. Like, now it's causing confusion. You think it's okay. Confusion is Babel. So he's telling you, you're in Babylon. You keep changing the rules while I keep playing the game. I can't take it much longer. I think I might go insane. So he's telling you, this is a game, just like the lady was saying. This is the matrix. This is how the reality is being distorted before your very eyes. On the behalf of those who they call the donkeys. Then he calls upon the Most High. Oh, Father, please have mercy, because I just can't take it. Okay? Now, for those of you who have ever seen his last interview, he actually talked about the very same thing, and then he vanished. Now, they say he died. They do this type of stuff because they mess with your head too with Hollywood. Because with the superstars, they want you to think one thing because they know you idolize these people. They like to do the shock thing to you all the time, but I don't know. I mean, they can fake people's death. They do it all the time. They practice it in the Skull and Bones. So, you know, that's just the way it is. But anyway, but what we're saying here, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick. Now, in today's world, they have done this through technology. They have made your life stressful by turning the concept, and this is how you're going to know who's behind it, because I know what the Masonic world means, because they're the mortar and the brick. They've turned the physical mortar into the brick, into the spiritual mortar in the brick, into the psychological mortar in the brick. They tell you the world will become easier with everything that they do, when in fact it becomes harder. Specifically for those who are being manipulated by the system. Like Michael Jackson said, you're playing a game, and she said it's monopoly. This is why, if you go further into the video book, she starts cursing. She says, you don't own anything. You think you do, but you don't own anything. And the way you can tell is, just like we talked about when you go to places like Africa and other places, the land is yours. You don't pay taxes. They are lying to you about the concept. The way they are doing taxes is a more modified version of what happened in England. When they talk about the no taxation without representation, well, that's fine. But then when you represent it, it's still stealing. They're still taking from you what they don't need to be taking. People say, oh, they convinced you. Oh, we need schools, we need roads, we need this, we need that. That percentage of the taxes they collect yearly, if you go look at the statistics, is less than 25%. what they allocate towards those things. So then where does the rest of it go? What are they doing? This is the hidden agenda, people. And on top of that, the money that they are using, most of it wasn't even theirs. See, when this lady is talking about the wealth that's being built up, the game that's being played, the monopoly, they're playing keep away from the Bena Kongo's wealth of Isolele. The Bantu people's wealth is what they're playing the monopoly with. That's why it's called money for money Congo. As we've been given that information from Yaya's videos and others. Money Congo, money was a title of high authority. Money, a kingship. Money Congo was the title of a person who was a high level person. The highest of truth, like Aliyah. We have different words to say it. That's what people understand. How we speak is what we feel and how we say. That's why the language of Kikongo can be complex, because we have different ways to say the same thing. People understand that. We had different ways to say Isaia. This is why people understand Yisu is a verb conjugation. It's not just a name. It goes off of what he was doing. His real name is hidden. Only him and the Father know it. It says it in the book. We know the Congo is the truth. So now what we're trying to say in this is that we are now being exterminated because they're throwing us to the crocodiles again. As the guy was saying, we are a threat. And now you even see now with the transition of what they're doing, with what they're doing now, and I can't talk about it because we know how that goes, okay? This is why they want the specific genealogy to be attached to certain people with what they're doing, because we can power up. This is why they gave us plastic. I'm talking to a brother that talked about it. Your body is electricity. Let's do the math here. Let's do the science here. Your body is electricity. Let's go back to biology 101. This is why you need water. They even did a movie to tell you how they're going to make you thirsty with water. Go back to Jackie Chan. In one of his movies, he talked about it. This is also scientifically done. You actually have now, they know, okay, the human body requires water to run electricity. Okay, I remember going to an Air Force base one time, and they talked about the very same thing. The supercomputer's body was running so fast, it was going through a coolant system. Okay. This is why they cause us to malfunction. The way you can cause a human being to malfunction is through the manipulation of knowledge, the manipulation of your environment, and the manipulation of your body. But they then tell you what's good for you when the spirit will tell you it's not. This is why they don't want you connected to the Mwanda Galala. This is why they don't want you connected to the Mwanda Sami, the Moyan Pevi, because you will know this is not good for me. Or you will know to pray for protection against whatever it is poison that is trying to afflict you. See, people today, they just eat and consume and drink and do whatever they want because they're thinking, oh yeah, I'm saved. By those who are in the Christian world, or they just eat and drink and do whatever they want because of the misconception. Your body is electricity. The Holy Spirit works the same way. I'm gonna show you this video real quick. I'll show you what I mean. I saw this. This guy posted it. Okay. This is the key or chi energy that the Kongo talks about. Okay. Now, this is what they stole from us. This is what was being given away. This is what Psalms 91 means. Watch it. Watch it again. This is how we fought Xerxes. Okay? He has key energy. Key Kongo energy. Chi. Chicago. Chi. His body is electrically charged, alkaline. This is why they wanted you to become acidic, especially the muntu, to eat certain foods that make you acidic. Because when you create inflammation, when you create mucus, when you create all these different things in the body does not function right, especially with sugar. Your body produces sugar. Yes, there are natural sugars you can have to recharge you, but they wanted to give you modified sugar. Why? Because the body doesn't know how to use it, so it kills the cells. Fats. Man, anything that was chemically engineered in a lab was specifically designed to attack the health of the muntu, the Kongo people. This started since the 1900s. What do you think Jack the Ripper was really about, people? It was nothing to do with what you think. They studied humanity's anatomy in dark places in ways that gave medicine the knowledge of the Most High's in the workings of our bodies, going way back to even before. They were doing surgeries in Egypt. They found out this knowledge gets passed. You gotta understand, just as Adama passed down the knowledge of the Most High to his chosen people through Isaela and into us, they also passed down the knowledge that came from the days of Noah through the lineages that would come afterwards, that would start once again to create the wicked ways. Okay? To once again start taking our children and making these hybrids and teaching us the wrong ways, that they would get cut off, and then the Most High took a royal priesthood unto himself, but that royal priesthood did not want to stay intact several times. And so now what we're facing today is exactly what the gentleman was saying. They're trying to, that people talk about the population. Yeah, they have an intent to do that too. They've even said it with their own words in such a way that you didn't catch it. For those that don't hear, okay, what they're trying to do. But they're trying to neutralize the greatest threat. And this is why they use us in ways to make us sin against ourselves, mockery, signals, all kind of stuff. They want to promote how, let me explain something to you. You are electricity. You are electricity. You create your own force field. This is what your heart beats. You create a force field around your body. when the heart and all the electricity flows. Illness comes when anything affects this flow. Even those who are in the world of the esoteric know, when you're dealing with the spiritual level, your body must remain clean. But it's what you're channeling through, that's the difference. So they can still look like the good guys, and you may think they are when they're not. Whereas those, especially us, this is why they want you to eat stuff that creates calcification, chemicals. They wanted you to think that these chemicals were good for you when it's bad. Drinking certain types of drinks that you shouldn't be drinking past a certain age. Putting stuff in food, chemicalizing it. Because they convinced the people that did it that you're helping, that you're benefiting humanity when you're making it worse. That they're solving the problems that plague humanity. The solving of the problems that plague humanity come through the chosen people, come through the Most High, come through, but when you erase his knowledge of him from those who create chemical alchemy, they're just doing it because they're trying to solve problems that are affecting, the whole concept is to escape death, which is inevitable. Why? Because they're always there, there's the fear of the unknown, what's out there, what's going to happen to us. Because there are those that know when they die, what's going to happen. And then there are those who have been dying that are convinced that they have it already right and put together, and are finding out and continuing to find out, no, way off. You must realize the biggest problem with humanity is trust. You trust the wrong things way too much. You put trust in those, and of course, they have done the same thing. It's a cycle. You think that they woke up, I mean, even in the case of the time of Rome and Greece and everything, did you think that they woke up thinking that, oh, I'm worshiping a wicked God today? They played good and bad even in their places. They laugh. They had good and bad gods in Egypt. They had good and bad gods in Greece, Persia. They have good and bad gods in China and Japan. They have good and bad gods in the Mayan culture. They have good and bad gods everywhere. But the deception was they masquerade both sides. And for us, the discernment was to know this. But if you destroy this right here, or you neutralize the ability to receive the understanding, then the discernment level drops significantly. Because it's caused the Holy Spirit, the Mwandam Velala, works off of electricity flow. Like this guy just showed you. So then you got this guy saying, how does that happen? Well, this is the power of the Holy Spirit that they are exhibiting, because he understands it is the key, the chi, the key energy that we have given away. This is the concept. The Most High gave away to other nations, but we didn't want. And now they're using it for what purpose? They're not bringing us back. That was the whole goal. They're using it for whatever they believe in. You see, while they get rid of the ones that are really supposed to walk in it. And they know it's all about a war against the Muntu, the Bena Congo. The only reason why that dude's video didn't get pulled is because he didn't specifically name the group. They always do this. He said black, well, anybody can be black. But the Most High's people have a generalized name, called by his name, the true name. Okay. So what we need to realize at this point is, even myself and others have to understand, we are in the mode where they are really bringing down the hammer on us. And the tares and the wheat will be separated. Because soon people will begin to realize more and more, even now. I know why they're hiding, because they didn't know what day it would come, but they know eventually in this time frame it will happen. I even saw a movie that recently kind of gave me an idea of the time frame that many things will happen. It was like, oh, that's not a year, it's a date. I was watching a movie. Okay. I'm not a date setter, but it was like, like I'm saying, it's not about what they have dates that they're gonna do stuff. The Most High lets them do it, the date is set. This is how deceived they are in their own world, because the fallen angels, the Most High, he lets. Okay, but he only lets certain things. If he's not ready for it to go down, he pulls it, then they modify, they have to change it. This is why they didn't go down last year, like they were supposed to. And they're still waiting. But now it's starting to get closer, because the Most High they have already put you where you need to be. Many people are already dead and they're cut off already. They just don't know it. But eventually they will, okay? But anyway, so I just wanted to talk about this, because understand, when we say we are at war, this man just gave it to you. We are at war. Okay. The Bena Betu, we are now at war with the powers that be. And in order to win this war, you must do it in the spiritual realm first. And even I understand that all of us got to do better winning this war in the spiritual level. Okay. All right, people. I just wanted to talk about this in Sambololo, Zola Quingi. And like I said, if it doesn't come out right, I'll try to re-upload it and call Facebook and find out what the deal is. If not, I'll have to remake it, but hopefully it comes out like it should. In Sambololo, Zola Quingi, Inaweza, Yabe Congo, Kutwala.